Picture this. You're sitting at your kitchen table at 2 a.m., staring at your bank account. You make a decent salary, let's say $60,000 a year. You're not buying designer clothes. You're not taking lavish vacations. You even skipped that daily coffee run everyone blames for financial problems. And yet, there's $847 in your checking account, $0 in savings, and a $7,886 credit card balance charging you 22% interest. Meanwhile, every financial expert on YouTube is telling you the secret is just spend less than you earn. And you're thinking, yeah, no kidding, thanks for nothing. But here's what's going to blow your mind. The reason broke people stay broke has almost nothing to do with discipline, spending habits, or financial literacy. Your brain is literally working against you, and the entire economic system shifted under your feet without anyone bothering to tell you. By the end of this video, you'll understand the psychological traps keeping you broke and the systemic changes that made wealth building objectively harder than it was for your parents. Let's start with the most uncomfortable truth in personal finance. Your poverty is making you stupider. I don't mean that as an insult. I mean it literally. There's a groundbreaking study from 2013 published in the journal Science, where researchers found that just thinking about financial problems reduced people's cognitive performance by 13 to 14 IQ points. That's the same mental impact as going an entire night without sleep. It's the difference between average intelligence and borderline deficient. Here's how they proved it. They brought people to a New Jersey shopping mall and asked them to imagine their car needed repairs. For wealthy participants, whether the repair cost $150 or $1,500 didn't matter. They performed equally well on cognitive tests afterward. But poor participants, when they imagined the expensive repair, their IQ scores dropped dramatically. The same exact brains, just stressed about money, suddenly couldn't think as clearly. Think about it this way. If you're constantly worried about making rent, your brain is running a background program that's consuming mental energy 24/7. It's like trying to run high-performance software on a computer that's already maxed out. You have less bandwidth left for making good, long-term decisions. This is called the scarcity mindset, and it's not a character flaw. It's neuroscience. But here's where it gets interesting. This isn't just about your brain working against you. The entire economic landscape fundamentally changed, and nobody updated the advice. Let me show you exactly what I mean with real numbers. In 1970, the median home cost about 3.2 times the median household income. Fast forward to 2024, and that same ratio is over 6 times income. Homes are literally twice as expensive relative to what people earn. The median home price right now is $405,400. And to afford that, using the standard 28% rule, which says your housing costs shouldn't exceed 28% of your gross income, you'd need to make $103,200 a year. The median household income? $80,610. You're $22,590 short before you even start. Your parents bought their first house at age 28 or 30. You know when first-time buyers are purchasing homes now? Ages 38 to 40. That's a full decade later. And it's not because millennials are lazy or spending all their money on avocado toast. Let me destroy that myth right now with actual math. Let's say you spend $12 on avocado toast and $4 on a latte every single day. That's $16 daily, which is $5,840 per year. To put 20% down on that $405,400 median home, you need $81,080. At $5,840 per year saved, it would take you 13.9 years to save that down payment. And that's assuming zero inflation, zero rent increases, and you literally never spending money on anything else, ever. The avocado toast argument isn't just wrong, it's mathematically insulting. Here's what actually happened. Millennials graduated into the worst recession since the Great Depression. Research shows that 70% of your career wage growth happens in your first 10 years of work, and millennials entered the workforce right when companies were laying people off and freezing wages. The Federal Reserve Bank of St. Louis literally called millennials a lost generation because their wealth is 34% below where it should be, based on previous generational patterns. Now, let's talk about something that's going to make you angry: your credit cards. Most people think credit card debt comes from buying stuff you don't need: new TVs, fancy clothes, spontaneous trips. But according to recent data, 73% of credit card debt is for necessities: car repairs, medical bills, groceries because you ran out of money before payday. The average American household is carrying $11,019 in credit card debt at an average interest rate of 22.30%. Let me show you what this looks like in real life. If you have that average balance of $7,886 at 22.30% interest, and you pay the minimum payment of about $158 per month, you know how long it takes to pay off? Over 30 years. You'll pay more than $16,000 in interest on that $7,886 balance. That's paying $23,886 total for $7,886 worth of stuff. But here's what nobody tells you about credit cards. They're designed to exploit how your brain works. There's research from MIT showing that credit cards activate the same reward centers in your brain as cocaine. When you swipe a card, your brain releases dopamine, the feel-good chemical, without the pain of seeing cash leave your wallet. The psychological cost of spending $1 on a credit card is only about 50 cents. Your brain literally doesn't register credit card spending as real spending the same way it does with cash. Studies show that people bid more than twice as much in auctions when using credit cards versus cash. At grocery stores, cash buyers spend an average of $6.65, while credit card buyers spend $11.08 for the exact same shopping trip. The pain of paying is real, and credit card companies have spent billions of dollars figuring out how to eliminate that pain so you spend more. Here's the thing that's going to blow your mind. Financial literacy classes don't work. There was a massive meta-analysis of financial education programs, and researchers found that even intensive programs with many hours of instruction have essentially zero impact on behavior 20 months later. Zero. The problem isn't knowledge, it's that knowing what to do and actually doing it are completely different things. Remember the famous marshmallow test? The one where kids who could wait for 2 marshmallows instead of eating one immediately were supposed to have better life outcomes? Well, a 2018 study with 900 kids, 10 times larger than the original, found that when you control for socioeconomic background, the effect shrinks by half to 2/3. The original study used mainly children of Stanford faculty, which is about as unrepresentative as you can get. What this means is that your environment matters way more than your willpower. This is what nobody talks about. The system isn't designed for willpower-based solutions. You know what actually works? Automation and defaults. When companies started auto-enrolling employees in 401k plans instead of making it opt-in, participation rates doubled from 42% to 91%. People went from saving 3.5% of their income to 13.6% just by changing the default option. Same people, same willpower, completely different results. Let's be real about something. The minimum wage has lost over 50% of its purchasing power since 1968. If it had kept pace with productivity growth, minimum wage would be $24 per hour right now, instead of $7.25. College tuition has increased 177% since 1973, even after adjusting for inflation. Student loan debt averages $39,375 per borrower, and federal interest rates are at 6.53%. The median net worth for people under 35 is $39,000. And that includes everything they own minus everything they owe. The top 10% of households hold 66.9% of total wealth, while the bottom 50% hold less than 3%. At the 10th percentile of net worth, meaning you're doing better than only 10% of people, your net worth is $1. $1. dollar. Not $1,000 or $10,000, $1 of net wealth. Here's where it gets really messed up. About 10.4% of American households have negative net worth. Among Gen Z, that number is 41%. These aren't people being reckless. They're people who took out student loans to get the education everyone told them they needed, then graduated into an economy that doesn't pay enough to cover both student loans and basic living expenses. I know what you're thinking. This is all depressing. Is there any good news? Here's the thing. Understanding why the system is rigged doesn't mean you're powerless. It means you stop blaming yourself for systemic problems and start using strategies that actually work. The people who successfully build wealth aren't smarter or more disciplined than you. They've just set up systems that don't require discipline. They automate their savings before they see the money. They use high-yield savings accounts that make accessing money slightly annoying. They understand that their future self is basically a stranger to their present brain, so they need to protect their future self from their present self's terrible decisions. So, there you have it. The reason broke people stay broke isn't about lattes or avocado toast or a lack of discipline. It's because our brains are wired for immediate survival, not delayed gratification.